This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Helping you find emotional, spiritual, and physical balance. What does your future hold? It's time to find out with Psychic Suzanna.
Yes, you are right where you need to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. And I got to tell you, we've got a busy, fun show ahead for you. And I want you to know that this is the show that is centered around you and your life, giving you answers to your questions and giving you ideas that you may not have had before. You can always find us at Psychic Suzanna at PsychicSuzanna.com. That leads you to our Facebook. Our Facebook is Life with Psychic Suzanna or Susanna Stickney. All of the shows are at KFAB.com also. You go there, you listen to them, you can hear them all the time. I got to tell you, our 8 o'clock guest has walked in the studio with his flute. Mike Murphy, hello. Great to have you here. But right now, who we have in our chair next to us is Dr. Rudi Mitchell. He's the head of Professor of Native American Studies at Creighton. He is also the former chairman of the Omaha Nation of the states of Nebraska and Iowa. Thank you for joining us, Rudi.
Thank you, Susanna, for having me tonight.
Okay. Is he loud enough? Because I'm not hearing a thing through my ears.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Not a thing through my ears, Jim. I just want you to know that.
Turn your volume up over there.
It's up.
Okay.
I'm not.
Listen, we don't need a cat fight here.
All right, fine.
Well, I'm
all right,
not
we've
a
got
cat,
Rudi in the
Tom
studio.
Cat.
We're trying to be well behaved. But the first thing I can tell you is that Rudi, I first saw him when I went to a musical concert downtown with a group that was playing, a very phenomenal group. What was the name of the group, Rudi?
Bruley.
Bruley was playing. And here's this distinguished man standing there, and I thought, So now I find out that he is the Native American Studies.
Okay.
And he can tell us a little bit about your classes. Tell me a little bit about your classes.
All right.
And when do they start, by the way?
Okay, Creighton starts classes this Wednesday, the August 24th. Actually, my first 2 classes are on Thursday, so the fall term will begin in several days from now.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what you teach. Now, you teach 2 different classes?
Yes, I do. I teach one class called Introduction to Native American Studies, which is really designed for freshmen. But in the last couple of years, I've had upperclassmen in my introduction course to Native American Studies, even seniors. The other course is called Issues with the Native American Experience, and it's an upper-level course.
What would be in the Native American Studies course?
In the Introduction to Native American Studies, it's a really broad course. I try to cover what is called the 10 culture areas in the whole United States, parts of Canada and Alaska, and when we look at Native American tribes and nation, we're looking at 560, federally recognized tribes, nations in the United States, and I'm not able to cover every one of them. Mm-hmm. But each culture area in the whole United States and parts of Alaska and Canada, the textbook I usually covers one particular tribe from that one particular area. It is a very broad course.
And in each tribe, what do you cover with each tribe?
I actually go back historically, at the beginning, where many of the tribes, which is really interesting to the students and to myself, is their origin stories, how they came into, existence. Each tribe and nation has their origin stories, and they're very unique and very
really
educational.
What would be the Omaha Nation origin story? What would that be?
As far as history goes, the Omahas were not in this particular area, before the first immigrants came to America. We actually migrated from the Carolinas on the eastern seaboard. And,
really? That's quite the weather change.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And the origin story is quite small. They're a man and woman emerged from a great body of water, which is probably the Atlantic Ocean. And from there, actually at that time there was no shame, but they found out they needed, some materials for the cold and all this. So they started, using leaves, trees, for houses, and then various animals for clothing of this type. There's a book called Volume 1, Volume 2 of the Omaha Tribe. It's an ethnology report. And when I look at my own culture and history, it really fits in as far as, the East Coast, because I belong to the Buffalo Clan, and there are certain taboos that are involved with my particular clan. And one of the taboos is we're not supposed to eat oysters. Mm-hmm. And
really?
If we were actually here in the Midwest, there are no oysters here.
Right. So
it stands to reason.
How many clans are there with each tribe?
Well, for the Omahas, there's 7, and it varies from tribe to tribe, anywhere from half a dozen clear up to, I think the Navajos have, a huge number because they're a large nation. But today the Omahas, we only have 7 today.
Wow. Okay. So the beginning, and you go in the history of several tribes?
Well, actually, then with the Omahas, there was a migration to the Ohio Valley, coming up through St. Louis, and then up to, the Missouri River. The word Omaha means against the current. And as we traveled,
Omaha means against
the current.
The current.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Omaha means against the current.
Yeah, that, depicts as far as us coming up the Missouri River to this area of Omaha. Actually, the true pronunciation of my particular tribe, our nation, is Omaha.
Omaha.
Yeah, Omaha.
Okay. And do you cover in the traditions and the cultures of the tribe, do you cover the language?
No, not so much. It's very sad when I lecture to my class about the languages, because at one time there were like 400 languages in the United States. Today there are only about 40 that are spoken.
Wow.
And a lot of tribes have lost their language. Even the Omahas, there's 6,000 in our population today.
Right.
There's only probably about 40 fluent elders that can speak the language. So it's a dying language as well.
Well, my culture is Arab, and my parents only talked Arab or Syrian when they wanted to keep secrets. Mm-hmm. So I imagine that's something with every culture. But how sad that is for us younger.
Yeah. What's sad is the younger people just don't have an interest. Many of the Native American languages are very difficult, to learn. Mm-hmm. And they always say the best way to learn a language is, when you're,
involved,
or, when you're very young.
Right.
Where you grow up with the culture and the language is spoken. And, a lot of many Native languages are not spoken on a daily basis.
Right.
So that's why, younger people just aren't taking an interest in language.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I think one of the most important thing and one of the saddest thing is that we don't embrace our heritage. And embracing our heritage, I think, is one of the most important things we can do to make our country strong and then become part of the melting pot. We're going to take a little break right now, and then we'll come back. And then I'm going to ask you how we can help our youth, Native Americans, embrace their culture. And we'll be right back. We have with us Dr. Rudi Mitchel. He is the Native American Studies. He studies sociology and anthropology at Creighton University. We'll be right back. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB.
Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. She knew I was going to say that.
Yes, you are right where you need to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB, and you can always find us at PsychicSusanna.com. That gives my schedule. I'm in town this week doing appearances. Also, you can get one free question at PsychicSusanna.com. Also, you can go to KFAB.com and you can hear all of the shows. You can listen to this show again and again. We have with us today Dr. Rudi Mitchel. He is the professor of Native American Histories and Studies. He is sociology and anthropology. He is the former chairman of the Omaha Nation of the states of Nebraska and Iowa. I want to welcome you to the show, Rudi.
Yeah, thank you, Suzanna. I did want to mention before we move on, a little bit about the Native American Studies program at Creighton. There are something like 29 Jesuit colleges in the United States.
Right.
And Creighton is the only Jesuit university that has a Native American Studies program. The program has been at Creighton about 8 years.
Wow.
Thanks to Father Bucko, who's chairman of the department, Tammy Buffalohead, who is director of Student Support Services, and Herb Grandboyce, who is the director of the social work school at Creighton. These three were very instrumental in starting up the program 8 years ago. So I just wanted to mention that, and Creighton is very, proud of these three individuals.
Well, I think the most important thing, and why we have you on, is we're afraid of what we don't know. And so we're afraid of different cultures because we don't know them. Yeah. I'm always taken with the spiritual side of the Native Americans, which I think is just beautiful. The songs, the music, the traditions are but most people walking along in this world don't know a thing about the Native, and so we need to bravo to Creighton for bringing it there. It means a lot because only through education can we make peace in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. My classes range anywhere from 30 to 36 each semester, both classes, and probably about 90% of my students are non-Indian. The rest are, international students. I have a few Native American students in my class, but the majority of the non-Indians know very little about Native American culture. So, I'm very, happy to share, in my own culture, we teach our younger children about our culture and traditions. With non-Indians, we share our culture and traditions with them.
And I think that's, again, how you bring peace to the world, how you bring understanding is by understanding the culture. What would you say to the youth Native Americans? What would you tell them why the Native American heritage is something they need to investigate and find?
Yeah. When I was tribal chairman in the 90s, I always felt that our children are our most important asset that we have among various tribes and nations, because they're the ones who are going to carry on the tradition, the language, the culture, and the ritual of our people. For many youth, it's a very hard struggle, especially on an Indian reservation. Poverty exists, alcoholism, drugs, there's high truancy rates, even very high suicidal rates on many Indian reservations.
Where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that comes from?
We don't have enough role models, positive role models on Indian reservations. We have a struggle with young people, continuing on beyond high school. Even our high school dropout rates are very high, but very few, go on to college. There seems to be a lack of motivation of parental, involvement, with children. And like I said, there's a lot of problems. And I mentioned, drugs and alcohol on Indian reservations.
And when I was involved and I used to appear, I found many children by many fathers by one woman, which to me is a breakdown of the culture. But was that a culture that was normal because the old warriors would go out hunting, and would a woman have babies by several men? No,
the family system, today, in our society has changed, but traditionally, a lot of women, the Omahas have a very high respect for women. And,
amen. I love. I love the spirituality. being a woman, you understand. But go ahead, finish.
Yeah. Traditionally, in the past, women did not do those types of things. Like I said, today, our culture's changed so much. With the influence of the dominant society. Just the enmesh as far as the cultures. Being together and all this, and it's very difficult for young people to try and it's always a concern and a dilemma, of trying to live in two worlds. We try to keep our tradition, culture, and yes, trying to be absorbed into the dominant society today.
Well, I think we all deal with that. I think we all deal with that. I think there's a lack of belief in themselves. I mean, I believe the culture is just beautiful. I think all Native cultures are just beautiful, and I think we don't teach it, we don't help them, and we don't show them the pride of the culture. I loved how the dancing, when they were here, the dancers were just beautiful, and what they were saying, it was just thrilling.
Yeah. Last weekend, the Omaha Nation celebrated their 207th annual Hilushka dances, Wadichi. And
Hulushka?
Yeah, the Hilushka.
What does that mean?
That means it's like the description of the dances that the Omahas have. But, Lewis and Clark recorded watching the dances in 1804 when he came through here. And so
wow.
we have the oldest North American Indian celebration today. But, these dances and the culture is very important. They're gradually, changing. But many youth, become involved in that. And a lot of our elders and parents try to encourage our younger people to take part in that. And many of them do.
Mm-hmm. We're going to come right back. We've got Dr. Rudi Mitchel. He is the professor of Native American Studies at Creighton. And we're going to be right back with him. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook at Suzanna Stickney or Life with Psychic Suzanna. We want you to hear what's coming up every week, and that's what we do on Life with Psychic Suzanna. We let you know what's coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This show is just about empowering you and the listeners.
This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB.
Oh, my Lord, you should be in this studio. We have people in here. This is such an exciting day. We have Pam coming on. Pam is going to be talking to us about the Chihuahuas and the animal health thing. And then right now, though, we've got Dr. Rudi Mitchel. Oh, also, we got Michael Murphy, who's going to be fluting us in Native American flute music in and out of our breaks. I've got him here with the flute. He did the traditional Native American CD of the year, and it's called Royal Roots Music Commission. We'll talk about that later. We're going to get him here right after 8. Right now, though, we're talking to Dr. Rudi Mitchel. He is the professor of Native American Studies at Creighton University, is also former chairman of the Omaha Nation of the States of Nebraska and Iowa. And we were talking off air, and you were talking to me about the tradition of balance. Can you explain the 4 directions?
Yes. We have what is called balance of life. In order for an individual, to achieve well-being in life, there are 4 areas, that needs to be a part of their life. One is called emotional, the other one is mental, third one is physical, and the fourth one is spiritual. I think, the spirituality part is so important with Native Americans. We've always had spirituality within our culture. With the Omahas, prayers have really played an important part of our lives, not only for special ceremonies, but even in a lot of our social activities. Even today, we begin a lot of our social activities, with a prayer. So spirituality is a really important part of our culture.
I must tell you, I did a sweat. And I remember going into a tent, and there was prayers on the way. What is a sweat? Because that was a very moving.
Yeah, well, they vary from tribe to tribe. A lot of the Lakota Nation people, have religious ceremonies as part of, their Native American sweats. With the Omahas, it was just a purification ceremony, much like your saunas or your.
I thought it was going on in the womb. I thought that there was the womb of.
Well, yeah, the Lakota people describe, the structures as far as the womb of the female, and there are certain
and being reborn again
yes,
with a cleansing. Cool. All right, our time is up with Dr. Rudi Mitchell. You know what? We have someone, Nancy, on the line. We're coming back to you, Nancy. Stay tuned. We've got Pam. We've got Michael Murphy. We've got stuff up galore. Just hold on. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. You want to stay tuned here. This is where life is happening. Well, you may not think you're in the right place, but you are. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. You can find us on KFAB, psychicsusanna.com or KFAB.com. This show is about making you feel peaceful. Oh, my gosh. We have in the studio a beautiful, beautiful man called Michael Murphy. He is the singer and songwriter of the Native American flute music. And Jim and I have decided to dump our bumpers and bring Michael in. We're going to talk to him right after this conversation.